Welcome, beloved, anointed ones. Some people don't understand the value of peace until the person who gave it to them walks away. And that's exactly where this story begins. Not with revenge, not with bitterness, but with the silent disaster happening in someone's life, because your comeback was stronger than their expectations and louder than their assumptions. You see, every human has a breaking point, but here's a psychological fact most people never want to admit. The mind struggles more with regret than it does with failure. And right now, someone out there is wrestling with the kind of regret that keeps them up at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment they mishandled you. Life is tearing this person up, not because you punished them, but because life finally removed the padding they used to shield themselves from accountability. It hits different when the universe does the work for you, especially when life has a wicked sense of humor and perfect timing. One day they're doing the most, acting like they'll never need you. The next day they're Googling phrases like, "Can stress cause sudden hair loss?" and "Why am I overthinking everything?" Because the get-back they didn't see coming is the one they're currently living. And the funniest part? They thought you'd crumble without them. They genuinely believed losing them would derail your entire destiny. Meanwhile, you're over there leveling up, minding your business, drinking water, and unbothered to the point it looks like a spiritual strategy meeting. But here's where things get interesting. Your absence exposed every crack they hid, every insecurity they denied, and every truth they ran from. Their life isn't falling apart by accident. It's falling apart because the person who carried the balance, the calm, the stability, and the clarity finally stepped out of the picture. And now they're facing themselves without the shield you unknowingly provided. The get-back wasn't revenge. The get-back was evolution. And nothing, absolutely nothing, crushes a person faster than watching someone they underestimated turn into someone they can no longer reach. So let's talk about why this person is unraveling, why your rise is shaking their foundation, and why life is tearing them up in ways they never expected. Because the truth behind their breakdown is deeper, more surprising, and far more revealing than they could ever admit out loud. Number 1. Their mind isn't tortured by what you did, it's tortured by what you didn't break. They're falling apart not because of anything you did to them, but because of everything you refused to let them destroy in you. They spent so long trying to control you, manipulate you, push your buttons, and test your limits, thinking there was a crack they could exploit, a weakness they could expose. They expected a collapse, a meltdown, some sign that the storm they brought into your life would finally have an effect. But instead, you survived. You held yourself together, and every challenge they threw at you, every emotional trap they set, failed to make you crumble. That unshakable composure is now their torment. The reason they're unraveling is simple. It's impossible for someone who thrives on chaos and control to tolerate the fact that the person they aimed to break is still standing. They cannot handle that you stayed whole while they lost their grip on you. Their mind keeps replaying every failed attempt to shake you, every time they thought they had power over your feelings or actions, and every time they tried to push you into despair. The realization that they wasted all that effort without achieving a single thing gnaws at them constantly. It's a psychological torture they can't escape, and it's far more painful than if they had succeeded in breaking you, because failure combined with impotence is a pressure cooker for the mind. Their suffering isn't external, it's internal, corrosive and relentless. They're haunted by the fact that you were untouchable where they thought they would leave marks. Every moment they believed they had leverage now highlights the emptiness of their attempts. They're forced to confront the truth. You were never the problem. Their control was never guaranteed, and their strategy to dismantle you failed spectacularly. That failure eats at their ego, keeps their thoughts restless, and fuels a mental storm that only intensifies because they cannot fix what was never broken. And while they spiral, you continue forward, untethered and unshaken, a living testament to resilience. Their torment is a reflection of your strength, a silent acknowledgement that no matter how hard they tried, they could never undo the integrity, the calm, and the unwavering presence that made you unbreakable in the first place. Number 2, they realized too late that you didn't need them. They needed your stability. They are collapsing because the foundation they relied on, the quiet power they never noticed you possessed, has withdrawn. For years they acted like you were the one dependent on them, like they were the pillar of the relationship or the situation, when in reality it was the other way around. You carried more than your share of the weight, emotional, mental, and sometimes even physical. You smoothed over their chaos, absorbed their outbursts, and carried their insecurities without complaint. That kind of stability is invisible to most people until it disappears. And now, the moment they face the absence of your equilibrium, their life is unraveling. The tragedy for them is that they mistook your support for weakness. They assumed you needed them to function, to survive, to stay steady. But the truth is, you never needed them. Your life, your peace, and your growth were never contingent on their presence. That realization is what's tearing them up. They thought they were indispensable, but in reality, you were the one holding the balance, quietly maintaining order while they floated in the storm they created. Without you, they're discovering how much of their so-called stability was actually borrowed from your discipline, your patience, and your restraint. Now, suddenly, the life they thought was theirs is showing every crack they tried to hide. Their suffering is amplified because they cannot replace what you offered. Stability, consistency, and groundedness cannot be conjured at the last minute or demanded through force. It has to be built, earned, or in your case, naturally embodied. Watching the chaos of their own making rise around them while you continue forward untouched is more than embarrassment. It's a visceral reminder that they were never in control. They needed your calm, but you didn't need them, and the truth hits harder than any punishment. Every sleepless night, every spiraling thought, every moment of panic is a direct result of the security they took for granted and can no longer access. They're learning the hard way that the person they underestimated was never the weak link. You were the quiet anchor they couldn't see, and now, with your stability gone, the world they thought they controlled is crumbling, leaving them powerless against the consequences they never expected. Number 3, your growth exposed. The parts of them they could no longer excuse. They're falling apart because your evolution made their flaws impossible to ignore. For years, they were able to hide behind excuses, justify their behavior, and convince themselves that their shortcomings didn't matter. They could live comfortably in denial because you tolerated, adjusted, and compensated for the cracks in their character. But your growth changed everything. Every step you took toward self-mastery, every boundary you set, every success you achieved, peeled back the layer they relied on to feel normal about themselves. Suddenly, the mask they wore so confidently started to slip, and with it came a tidal wave of self-confrontation they weren't prepared for. Your transformation acts like a mirror they can't avoid. The very same person who criticized your decisions, questioned your worth, or tried to diminish your efforts is now forced to face the reflection of their own inadequacies. The behaviors they excused for years, laziness, dishonesty, arrogance, emotional manipulation, are all amplified when contrasted with the discipline, clarity, and integrity you display. They never thought your rise would make their stagnation so glaring, and the discomfort is unbearable. Their mind keeps circling back to the moments they could have changed, the opportunities they let slip, and the way you've become a living example of the life they refuse to pursue. The intensity of their struggle comes from realization. They're not angry at you, they're enraged at themselves for being exposed. And no amount of blaming the world, others, or circumstance can erase the truth that your growth revealed. They settled for less, they tolerated chaos, and they failed to evolve while you were ascending. Now their pride, ego, and self-image are under siege because the person they underestimated is thriving without them. The very success they hoped to ignore or belittle is now the evidence they cannot escape, and every glance at your progress reminds them that they are responsible for their own unraveling. Your growth didn't just elevate you, it illuminated the parts of them they tried to hide, and facing that reflection is dismantling them in a way they never expected, leaving them exposed, restless, and uncomfortably aware of the person they could never match. Number 4. Life is returning to them the weight they put on you. They are crumbling because everything they once piled on your shoulders is coming back with interest. For years they leaned on you like you were their emotional and mental crutch, offloading responsibilities, expectations, and burdens that were never theirs to place. They treated your patience, your strength, and your stability as unlimited resources, never stopping to consider that one day those resources could run out. Now that the tables have turned, life is no longer giving them a free pass. The chaos they thought only affected you is circling back, and they can't handle the weight because they never built the muscle to carry it themselves. Every obligation they ignored, every problem they dumped on you, and every expectation they assumed you'd meet without question is now manifesting directly in their own life. And here's the brutal truth. When you carried their load, it wasn't just about kindness or forgiveness, it was about your resilience, holding the system together. With you gone, there's nothing to cushion the impact. They are facing the consequences of neglect, laziness, and manipulation in the form of a life that demands accountability they never prepared for. That heavy weight is suffocating them, breaking routines, straining relationships, and exposing just how much they relied on you to maintain balance. The pain they feel is intensified because it's not abstract. It's immediate and undeniable. They can no longer deflect responsibility or blame someone else for their spiraling circumstances. The life they treated casually while you sacrificed and stabilized is now pressing on them from every direction. And the irony is relentless. The very behaviors they once used to control, frustrate, or diminish you are now the behaviors they must confront alone. Every sleepless night, every sudden problem, every frustration is a reminder that they built a house of chaos on someone else's strength, and now that foundation is gone. Their torment is proof that what they once thought was harmless negligence has real consequences. Life has a way of balancing the scales, and in this case, it's making them face the full weight of what they put on you, and they're collapsing under it because they never learned to carry it themselves. Number 5. Your absence removed. Their favorite distraction from their own mess. They are unraveling because you stopped being the cushion, the escape, and the distraction that allowed them to ignore their own chaos. For so long, you were the constant presence they relied on to absorb their outbursts, cover up their mistakes, and carry them through the storms they refused to face. Your patience and presence acted like a safety net, giving them the freedom to live recklessly, emotionally unaccountably, and without reflection. Once that safety net was gone, life hit them with the raw reality they never wanted to see. The problems they masked with your energy, your time, and your emotional labor are now unavoidable, and they are spiraling because no one else is there to soften the impact. The most brutal part is that your absence didn't just remove you physically, it removed the excuse and the outlet they depended on. Every habit they ignored, every responsibility they postponed, every truth they sidestepped is now facing them directly. They can no longer blame you for their failures, and they can no longer vent, manipulate, or lean on someone else's stability to cover their cracks. Life is forcing them to reconcile with themselves, and that confrontation is tearing them apart because they never developed the tools to handle it. What's unfolding is more than just discomfort. It's a deep, relentless pressure that grows heavier by the day. Their mind keeps circling through the patterns they used to avoid, the poor decisions, the untreated emotions, the unfinished work, and the moments they allowed chaos to define them. Without you acting as the buffer, every consequence is immediate, unavoidable, and inescapable. They're facing themselves without permission, and the weight of that self-awareness is crushing. The irony is sharp. They once believed that life would always give them a pass as long as you were there. But your withdrawal stripped away their crutch, revealing the emptiness of their control. Their unraveling is the direct result of finally having to face the mess they created, and it's happening without you doing a single thing. Your absence alone is the most ruthless accountability they've ever experienced, and it's proving to be more than they can handle. Number 6. They're being crushed by the realization that you weren't the problem. They are falling apart because the truth they never wanted to see has finally hit them. The chaos in their life, the constant tension, the failures, and the dissatisfaction were never caused by you. For years, they treated you as the source of their discomfort, the person responsible for their anger, frustration, and insecurities. They blamed you for things you didn't create, for outcomes you didn't influence, and for the stress they themselves carried. Now, with clarity emerging, they are forced to face the harsh reality. The problem was never you, it was always them. That realization is crushing because it removes the convenient target they once used to justify their behavior and delay self-reflection. The devastation comes from the fact that they've spent so much energy trying to control or break you, thinking that if they could fix you, their world would align. They imagined that your actions, your words, and your decisions were the root of their problems, and they poured countless hours, emotions, and energy into manipulating, testing, and undermining you. But none of it worked because you were never the source of the issues. And now, stripped of that convenient excuse, they are left confronting their own incompetence, irresponsibility, and lack of self-awareness. Their mind races trying to find an alternative blame, but every path leads back to the truth they've long avoided. They created their own mess. This is why life is tearing them up. It's one thing to struggle with external forces. It's another entirely to realize that the storm has always been inside. They are haunted by missed opportunities, bad choices, and moments when they could have taken responsibility, but instead projected it onto you. Every memory of trying to fix you now feels like wasted energy, and that waste becomes an echo of their failure. You, on the other hand, moved forward without the weight of their blame, without needing to defend yourself or justify your existence. Your clarity and resilience shine in contrast to their confusion and collapse. Their unraveling isn't punishment from you. It's life forcing them to face a truth they can't escape. You were never the problem, and now that truth is the heaviest burden they have ever carried. Number 7. Your comeback proved. Their version of you was a lie. They are unraveling because the image they created of you, the version of you they told themselves existed, has been shattered. For years they convinced themselves, and sometimes even others, that you were weak, unreliable, easily manipulated, or incapable of handling life on your own. That narrative became their armor, a mental cushion that allowed them to mistreat, underestimate, and control you without facing any guilt or accountability. They operated under the illusion that you were someone small, someone limited, someone who could be contained. But your comeback destroyed that illusion completely, and now the truth is hitting them harder than anything they ever imagined. The problem for them isn't that you're succeeding, it's that the real you contradicts every lie they told themselves. Every achievement, every moment of composure, every decision made with clarity and strength proves that they never really knew you. Their version of you was a fabrication, a convenient story designed to make their own behavior seem acceptable. And when that story crumbles, their mind doesn't just panic, it fractures. They're struggling because the person they thought they controlled, underestimated, or defined is now entirely beyond their reach. What makes it even more devastating for them is the speed and grace of your comeback. You didn't just rise, you rose in ways that exposed their assumptions, their limitations, and their inability to predict or influence your path. Every step you take forward is a living reminder of their misjudgment. Their frustration grows because no matter how hard they try to reconcile their expectations with reality, the truth keeps proving them wrong. And the cruelest part? You didn't need to fight, argue, or justify yourself. Your existence, your growth, and your resilience are enough to dismantle the narrative they built. They're left with nothing but the echo of their own misconceptions, realizing too late that they were never in control, never truly understanding you, and now powerless as the person they misjudged flourishes beyond the limits of their imagination. Number 8. They never planned for you to outgrow the role they cast you in. They are crumbling because they assumed you would stay confined within the limits they set for you. For years, they treated you like a character in their story. The forgiving one, the quiet one, the one who would always adjust to their chaos, absorb their mistakes, and play the role they wanted you to play. They relied on your predictability and used it as a foundation for their own comfort, never considering that you were evolving beyond their script. The moment you stepped out of that role, their entire sense of control collapsed, leaving them frantic, lost, and utterly unprepared for the person you were becoming. The reason their unraveling is so intense is that they were comfortable in the version of you that was limited by their expectations. They never thought you would challenge the narrative they built, and they certainly didn't imagine you would rise beyond the boundaries they assumed would define your life. Now, every action you take, every success you claim, every boundary you enforce, directly contradicts the character they assigned to you. That contradiction is relentless and destabilizing. They are left staring at someone they thought they understood, realizing they were wrong on every assumption. What's crushing for them is the awareness that your growth exposes their own stagnation. While they were busy trying to fit you into a box, you were quietly building strength, clarity, and resilience. Their inability to anticipate your evolution highlights their short-sightedness and their reliance on controlling others instead of improving themselves. They see now that the leverage they thought they held was never theirs to wield, and the power they assumed came from you being small was an illusion. Their panic, their anger, and their frustration all stem from this one hard truth. You are no longer the person they tried to contain. They didn't plan for this version of you, someone who sets standards, demands respect, and refuses to be limited by their expectations. And watching you thrive in a life they never imagined is a reminder that the person they tried to control has become untouchable, unstoppable, and completely beyond the role they once cast. Number 9, they're breaking. Because you finally matched their energy with boundaries. They are unraveling because for the first time, you stopped absorbing everything they threw at you and started responding on your terms. For years, they tested your patience, pushed your limits, and took for granted the grace you extended, expecting your energy to always flow in their direction no matter the cost. They assumed that no matter how toxic, demanding, or reckless their behavior, you would continue to give without question, soften every blow, and excuse every failure. But the moment you began matching their energy with clear boundaries, the power dynamic shifted, and they had no idea how to handle it. Their collapse comes from the shock of realizing that the rules have changed. They thought they could control, manipulate, or provoke you indefinitely. But now their tactics no longer work. The same energy they once used to dominate you now meets resistance, structure, and limits, and it's destabilizing them in ways nothing else could. They are not used to accountability, and when you finally enforce it without aggression or drama, it hits harder than any confrontation ever could. You're not attacking them, you're simply standing firm, and that firmness is more terrifying than anything they expected. The chaos they hoped would ensnare you now rebounds on them because they relied on your compliance as a safety net. With that gone, they are forced to reckon with the weight of their own behavior. Every outburst, every manipulative tactic, every attempt to provoke you now serves as a mirror, reflecting the immaturity, selfishness, and recklessness they never wanted to confront. And because they never developed the emotional tools to handle consequences, the pressure of your boundaries is breaking them down from the inside out. What makes it even more unbearable for them is the calmness with which you enforce these limits. You are not panicking, pleading, or trying to prove anything. You are simply maintaining your standards, protecting your peace, and moving forward. Watching you operate with clarity and control, while they spiral in confusion and frustration, is a lesson they never wanted to learn. And it's a lesson that hurts far more than any external punishment could. Your boundaries have become the measure of their collapse, and they are powerless to stop it. Number 10. They're struggling because power has shifted to the side with self-respect. They are crumbling because the balance of power they once relied on has completely shifted, and the side that holds control is no longer the one feeding their ego. For years, they thrived on your patience, your forgiveness, and your willingness to bend for them. That gave them the illusion of dominance, the sense that they could dictate how interactions unfolded and maintain an upper hand. They believed their energy, their drama, and their manipulation were enough to keep you contained, predictable, and under their influence. But when you stepped into your self-respect, set boundaries, and refused to compromise your dignity, everything changed. The intensity of their struggle comes from shock. They are not used to facing someone who refuses to play by their rules. They assumed you would comply, tolerate, and absorb because that's what they were used to. But self-respect isn't negotiable, and it doesn't seek permission. You didn't fight them aggressively. You simply claimed your space, your peace, and your power. And now they are forced to contend with the fact that the energy they use to rely on to control you has no effect. Every tactic they deploy to regain influence falls flat, leaving them frustrated, powerless, and deeply unsettled. What tears them apart even more is how effortless your presence becomes in contrast to their struggle. While they are scrambling to reassert control, strategizing, and trying to manipulate outcomes, you move forward with clarity and composure. The shift in power isn't loud or aggressive. It's steady, undeniable, and visible in your calm confidence. It's a reality they can't argue with, negotiate with, or undermine. They are unraveling because power isn't with the loudest, the angriest, or the most manipulative anymore. Power now rests with the one who protects their dignity, respects their own boundaries, and refuses to allow anyone to diminish their value. And that truth is destroying them, because they never learned how to operate in a world where control comes from self-respect rather than domination. Your rise is the measure of their collapse, and watching it unfold is a punishment they never anticipated. Number 11. Your healing destroyed the leverage. their pain once had over you. They are unraveling because the one thing they relied on to control you, your vulnerability, no longer exists in the same way. For years they used your wounds, insecurities, and past mistakes as tools, subtle weapons to manipulate your emotions, guilt you into action, or keep you tethered to their chaos. They thrived on the idea that as long as you carried pain, confusion, or doubt, they could influence your decisions and bend situations to their advantage. But when you committed to your own healing, the leverage they depended on vanished, leaving them powerless in ways they never expected. The reason this is so devastating for them is that they mistook your pain for weakness. They assumed that as long as you carried the scars they helped inflict, they would always hold sway over your life. But healing doesn't just patch wounds. It transforms the way you interact with the world and with people who once hurt you. Your clarity, strength, and self-respect now create a barrier they cannot penetrate. Every manipulative tactic they try is ineffective because the energy they once drew from your pain is no longer there. You became untouchable, not because you retaliated, but because you restored your own power. Their collapse comes from shock and frustration. They cannot reconcile the fact that the very thing they used to dominate you is no longer accessible. They are faced with a reality where their influence is gone, and no amount of guilt-tripping, arguing, or scheming can bring it back. For the first time, they are exposed to the full consequence of their actions. They cannot control, manipulate, or diminish you anymore. And the most crushing part? You didn't need to prove anything or fight back. Your healing alone dismantled the system they built to control you. Watching you thrive while they struggle to regain footing is proof that the power they once held was never truly theirs. Your recovery became their reckoning, and it's breaking them in ways they never imagined. The person they thought they had leverage over is now completely free, and that freedom is their undoing. Number 12. They can't handle that their worst didn't bring out your worst. They are falling apart because everything they expected to provoke in you, bitterness, anger, revenge, or despair, never appeared. For years they pushed, tested, and hurt you, assuming that at some point your pain would mirror their own toxicity. They believed that if they were cruel, careless, or manipulative enough, you would eventually snap, lash out, or degrade yourself to their level. But nothing they did had the intended effect. Instead of breaking you, their worst behavior revealed your strength, patience, and resilience, and that realization is unraveling them in ways they never imagined. Their collapse comes from the shock of understanding that they cannot control or dictate your reactions. Every attempt to ignite chaos in your life ended up highlighting the discipline, integrity, and emotional intelligence you carried quietly all along. The person they expected to crumble is instead standing taller, calmer, and stronger than ever, leaving them frustrated and powerless. They are not just disappointed, they are enraged by the fact that their tactics are ineffective against someone who refuses to mirror their toxicity. What makes it even worse for them is that your strength is not aggressive. It doesn't seek to dominate or humiliate. Your calm and composed handling of their worst behavior acts as a mirror, showing them not only that you are unshaken, but also exposing their own instability and inability to handle life with any semblance of control. They wanted you to mirror their chaos so they could feel justified, superior, or victorious. Instead, your stability proves that their worst actions say more about them than they ever wanted to admit. Every failed attempt to drag you down now gnaws at their ego and self-perception. They are trapped in the reality that your rise is organic, unprovoked by their misdeeds, and unstoppable. Your ability to absorb their worst without letting it define you is a direct reflection of power and resilience they cannot comprehend. And that is exactly why their world is spiraling. They expected to break you, but you stayed unbroken, and that truth is far heavier than any punishment they could have ever imagined. Number 13. They're suffering because they never thought you would recover faster than them. They are unraveling because they never anticipated that you would rebound, rebuild, and rise faster than they could. For years, they assumed that the challenges, betrayals, and pressure they placed on you would slow you down, keep you trapped, or leave you struggling for far longer than they themselves would have survived. They believed that if anyone crumbled under the weight of life's storms, it would be you. But life had a different plan, and their assumptions are now the very thing destroying them. Watching you recover and thrive while they remain stuck in the consequences of their own actions is a psychological blow they never prepared for. The core of their unraveling lies in envy mixed with disbelief. They expected time and hardship to work in their favor, to prolong your struggles while they coasted through, but your resilience disproved that entire narrative. Every step you take forward, every boundary you enforce, every success you achieve is a reminder that they miscalculated your strength. They are forced to confront the fact that their attempts to hold power, delay your progress, or undermine your confidence didn't just fail. They backfired. Their pride, which relied on the illusion of control over your life, is now under siege. What's devastating for them is that your speed of recovery highlights their own stagnation. While they are still grappling with consequences, replaying past mistakes, or drowning in excuses, you are moving forward with clarity and purpose. Their inability to match your progress becomes impossible to ignore, and every glance at your stability, your achievements, and your composure serves as a mirror, reflecting their shortcomings. They are trapped in the painful reality that the person they underestimated is now outperforming, outlasting, and outgrowing them. They never thought you would recover faster, and that misjudgment is tearing them apart. Their suffering is not about what you did to them. It is about the truth they cannot accept. You healed, evolved, and thrived while they are still tangled in the consequences of their own actions, powerless to regain the upper hand they once assumed was theirs. Number 14. Your strength removed, their favorite excuse for staying weak. They are crumbling because your unwavering strength exposed the truth they've been running from for years. Their weakness is entirely their own. For so long they relied on the idea that you were struggling, vulnerable, or dependent as a way to justify their own inaction. They told themselves that as long as you were carrying burdens, bending under pressure, or absorbing their chaos, it was acceptable for them to remain stagnant, irresponsible, and emotionally unaccountable. Your resilience and refusal to be broken destroyed that illusion completely, leaving them exposed and helpless. The intensity of their unraveling comes from the realization that they can no longer use you as a benchmark for their excuses. Every failure, every lack of progress, every moment of regret is now mirrored against your strength, your discipline, and your ability to rise above. They are forced to see that the reason they haven't grown, evolved, or mastered themselves isn't circumstance, isn't fate, and isn't the chaos around them. It's their own unwillingness to confront reality and take responsibility. Your success and composure act as a spotlight on their weaknesses, highlighting every way they have chosen comfort over courage and delay over action. What makes this collapse even more agonizing for them is that your strength isn't loud or aggressive. You didn't announce your victories, retaliate, or try to prove yourself. You simply became unshakable, consistent, and forward-moving, and that silent power is more cutting than any confrontation. It's a constant, unavoidable reminder that the only thing standing between them and growth is themselves. Their unraveling is the consequence of confronting a truth they never wanted to face. They are not victims of circumstance. They are prisoners of their own choices. Your strength removed the crutch they leaned on for justification and left them exposed to the full weight of their inaction. Watching you thrive, unaffected by their chaos, is a reality they cannot manipulate or escape, and that is why their world is collapsing around them. Your presence, your evolution, and your power have become the harshest truth they have ever had to endure. The story of the chosen one isn't about revenge. It's not about retaliation or proving anyone wrong or waiting for karma to play out. It's about truth, resilience, and the quiet, undeniable power of someone who refuses to be broken. Every point we've explored reveals the same reality. Life doesn't just test you for punishment. It tests you to reveal your strength, your clarity, and your ability to rise beyond expectation. The people who tried to manipulate, control, or underestimate you are not crumbling because of what you did to them. They are crumbling because your existence, your growth, and your unshakable strength expose the flaws, weaknesses, and choices they've been hiding from themselves. You've seen how your resilience has stripped away their excuses, how your healing destroyed their leverage, and how your growth shattered the lies they built about you. You've witnessed how your boundaries, self-respect, and evolution have left them powerless, confused, and undone. Every failed attempt they made to control your life, to provoke a reaction, or to keep you small, has come back on them in a way they never anticipated. Life has a way of restoring balance, and in this case, the balance doesn't reward them for their efforts. It rewards you for your strength, your clarity, and your refusal to be anything less than fully yourself. This is more than a victory. It's a revelation. The power you carry is silent yet unstoppable, quiet yet undeniable, and every day you move forward, it leaves a mark they cannot erase or control. Their unraveling is not your triumph over them. It's life showing them what they were never willing to see, a mirror reflecting their own choices while you continue to rise. You are living proof that true strength isn't about fighting. It's about existing fully, authentically, and without compromise. If this message hit you deep and revealed truths you needed to see, don't just leave it here. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss the insights that will continue to elevate you. Like this video to show your energy aligns with strength. Comment below to share your story or your reaction, and share it with someone who needs to understand the power of rising above. This is more than content. It's a reminder that your strength shapes reality, and the people who tried to shake you will always feel the weight of your evolution. Keep rising, keep evolving, and let the world witness your unstoppable power. God bless you.